Today, a rare speech by the head of British intelligence. It included this startling accusation that Russian troops are committing treason on the battlefield.
We've seen Russian soldiers, short of weapons and morale, refusing to carry out orders, sabotaging their own equipment, and even accidentally shooting down their own aircraft.
To Brussels now, and CNN's Nic Robertson. Nick, a remarkable revelation there from the head of British intelligence.
Yeah, Putin's army not as strong as he thought, in part, as we heard from U.S. officials yesterday, and Fleming went on to talk about it as well, that the military commanders, defense officials around Putin are afraid to tell him the truth. He doesn't know how incapable, inept, ill-supplied, ill-equipped, ill-motivated his forces are. The evidence now he sees. They didn't take Kyiv in that rapid land grab that they originally intended. They're getting bogged down. They're re-equipping and refocusing their forces. Putin today, pertinent to that, announced a recruitment drive for about 160,000 conscripts. That's about the number that Russia recruits twice a year. This is about the time of year it would do it. Of course, Putin legally not allowed to put conscripts into Ukraine, but in fact he has been, and many of their families have complained about it. Putin also going on the offensive against the European Union today, saying that as of tomorrow, all gas and oil supplies to what he calls unfriendly nations, European Union nations, will have to be paid for in rubles. Now, the Germans, the French and others here are saying, no way. The contracts were in euros, we'll pay in euros. Putin seems to be indicating that if they don't pay in rubles, then they will get cut off from energy supplies. The German economy minister today saying that there will be a knock-on economic effect, and certainly that's a concern in Europe at the moment. I think on top of that as well, we've heard from Putin, at least from state media agencies in Russia in the last few minutes, saying Putin and the Kremlin will put sanctions on top EU officials. This is the day Putin fights back against Europe.
Let me bring in to share her reporting and her insights Susan Glasser of The New Yorker. The control room will let me know when that sound is ready. Susan, but you did hear from Putin this morning saying that the West is trying to punish him. And I can read what he said. These are sanctions to punish us for our right to be free, independent, for our right to be Russia, for not wanting to dance to their tune and sacrifice our national interest and traditional values. That is Vladimir Putin being quite transparent. His national interest and values includes stomping into a neighbor's territory, stealing it, killing its people, and devastating its culture, its buildings, its infrastructure.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, look, he has an inverse reality here, Field, in which the war is a war somehow to denazify a country run by a Jewish president, where there are, it should be said, no Nazis. The Russian propaganda inside of Russia has created this alternate reality. Putin is speaking in part to his own people with these, sort of absurd fantasies of Russian encirclement and the idea that, Russia itself is basically under attack. This has always been a tactic of Vladimir Putin and other leaders in the Kremlin to distract their own people from the dictatorship and the economic hardships inside Russia by creating an enemy of the West. And he is certainly resorting to that time-honored playbook once again.
And the scary part of that, and the point John Bolton was making in that sound in the introduction, is that in a democracy, if things aren't going well, you reassess, or you answer public opinion, which tells you you shouldn't be doing this. But in Vladimir Putin's world, when things are not going right, we see both in the indiscriminate bombing in Ukraine and now Putin's words lashing out, saying he may try to punish, not cut off energy supplies to Europe and the like. You back him into a corner and you get an even worse result.
Well, look, escalation is in Putin's playbook. It's in the Russian and before that, the Soviet playbook. And I think that, again, because he has failed to achieve so far any of his stated objectives for the campaign, it's hard to see any negotiated solution right now, given that he wouldn't even have anything he could plausibly claim as a victory. And he certainly has not hesitated to use energy as a weapon with Europe in particular before. And that's why for years, American officials of many previous administrations were literally begging the Europeans to take their own energy security much more seriously. They failed to do so in a timely fashion. And so Putin does have a weapon over them at this moment in time. And so, we'll see how far he's willing to take it. There are further sanctions that the United States could impose on Russia, and many people want them to. More banks being cut off from SWIFT, more sanctions on Russian oil and gas. And so we'll see if we are in an escalatory spiral on that soon.
And of the many surprises Vladimir Putin has experienced the last 6+ weeks, it has to be the rise of President Zelensky as a global icon of freedom, a global icon of defiance. We just want to put up a calendar here. Just in the last month, in the month of March, President Zelensky has spoken to parliaments and legislatures around the world. You see all the flags there of the countries. And today saying, that, again, issuing his warning, essentially, what you see happening in Ukraine now could come to other places in Europe. Give me your sense of, A, President Zelensky's effectiveness in getting the world to come to his aid, and B, the impact that must have because Vladimir Putin has so repeatedly belittled him.
I think you're absolutely right to focus on that. I was really struck in the latest Pew Global survey and Pew survey of world leaders and how they're viewed in the United States. Vladimir Zelensky is the single most trusted leader. Vladimir Putin is at the very bottom. I think it was something like 73% of Americans thought he would trusted him to do the right thing. This is a guy who wouldn't have registered in international polls 2 months ago, literally. So that must infuriate Vladimir Putin. But has President Biden, has the West actually done what Zelensky wants? On the military stuff, on the economic sanctions, they have delivered him a lot more equipment than they were willing to do just a couple months ago. But they have not moved on this inflexible idea that he's not a member of NATO, he's not going to become one anytime soon, and they're not going to be drawn into further military escalation. In that sense, they have not managed, Zelensky has not managed to move Biden.